Uh, I just thought I'd jump on another live off the back of the funnels one because I wanted to talk to you about a post that I did yesterday within the group, which is the announcement that I'm going to be putting together a free marketing course, and this is aimed primarily at new or struggling affiliates. Now, I'm doing this primarily because I know that within this affiliate marketing space there is just so much noise out there. At a broad level, affiliate marketing, broad, right? There's just so much noise. And by looking at what's been going on probably over the last 12 months, if not longer, one of the things I've noticed is that there's obviously a lot of products out there that are aimed at people that are inexperienced. Right? But when I look at some of the content of those products, and this is just my opinion, right? So if you have a different one, then that's fine. You don't have to agree with me, but in my view, there's not many products out there that are really hitting what struggling or new affiliates need. Why do I say that? Well, it's simple, right? If you've got absolutely no knowledge of something, or you've obtained some knowledge, excuse me, and you haven't been able to get it to work for you, then something isn't right. Now, I'm going to ignore for the time being, the people that take no action. If you take no action, you can expect no result. Okay, that's a given. So I'm going to ignore that. But I'm looking at people who take action, but still can't get to where they want to be. And this is why I think a lot of the programs out there are not having the content that really is an ABCD approach. Okay, and that's not to like make anyone feel that they're silly, because that's not me, right? I'm a strong believer that I've helped in the years that I've been in business. I've helped loads of people improve themselves, okay, to strengthen their own beliefs in themselves, to be able to ascend, sometimes quickly, within the space that they were in through promotions, and climbing the ladders within organizations. That's what I did. That's the way that I treated my staff. I provided support and encouragement and measurable actions for them to implement, to be able to transcend them in that ladder. Now, obviously, differing programs have differing purposes, right? And not all of them can necessarily give what each person needs. Now, look, I totally get that. That's for me, one of the difficulties in, sort of courses that are designed for everyone. Whereas it's a bit like it's kind of it's a bit like shopping for someone when you don't know what their dietary requirements or what their preferences are, right? So you go into the supermarket, you buy a couple of oranges, and someone says go and buy some fruit, so you go and buy a couple of oranges, you get a couple of apples, you get a bunch of grapes, rah, 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 hoping that at least one of them someone likes, right? Or if not, then you've done a horrible job of servicing. But that's what courses are like, right? Someone wants some fruit, but how do you know that they don't like grapes? How do you know that they're intolerant to apples? You don't, right? And don't get me wrong, this is not the fault of the course creator, because it's impossible to service everyone, right? Even like, I get it, I get it. But in some of those programs, it's beyond that. And the reason I say that is because they're missing some real core components that people who are in that space, their dream customers, their avatars, really need. So, I get that some of them are low ticket prices and everything else, and the one that I'm doing, I'm actually giving away for free, right? So it's not about price, but it certainly is about content. So I've decided to put this course together to at least give, new struggling people a chance, right? And it's free, so some people might look at it and say, well, it's crap, but it's free. Okay, I don't think you'll find it's crap, because I'm not a believer in giving people crap. If people feel that it's crap, well, we're probably not for each other, because that's certainly not my intention. And there's always going to be someone who complains about something, right? So that's cool. I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with being able to give someone a chance, particularly in this post-COVID world where it's going to become harder and harder and harder for people to get the life that they want, right? Prices are rising. There's a war going on, which is likely to be, causing some even greater pains than people are already suffering from an economic perspective. So more and more people will be looking, whether we like it or not, and it's not a case of whether we like it or not, it's a reality in this modern world that more and more people will be looking for, let's call them options, right? To make more money, to have a better life, a life that means that they don't have to spend 18 hours a day away from their family, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that my free course is going to solve all of those pain points. A number of the paid programs don't solve all of those pain points, so I'm not expecting that from the course that I'm going to produce. That's not really the objective. The objective is to give somebody, those that are interested, a no BS, no fluff, straight to the point set of tools, guidances, experiences on the ABCDs of how to go from absolutely zero to even making their first couple of bucks, right? How to do that, because that's the hardest thing. And if you look in any group, you will see people getting so excited when they've got their first lead, right? It normally starts with something like this. This might not be a big thing for you, but it's a huge thing for me. I got my first lead today. Hell yeah, share it. Why not? We've all been there, right? I got my first lead when I was online. I started online early 90s. When I got my first lead, that's how I felt. Oh, wow, this thing works. Because it's a validation. It's a validation that you've taken some action and you've got a result. Hey, shit, this works, right? It's important. The same as your first commission. Like your first commission's like, losing your virginity to some extent, right? You're so proud of it. Wow. I just got my first commission. And so you should be, because it's a validation. It's a validation that it works, right? So if I can help someone to go from zero and not believing in themselves and thinking that this is rubbish, it doesn't work for me, I'm a fraud, I can't make this work, all of those negative things that go around in people's heads, then if I can just help one person even get their first lead, right, followed by their first commission. And I'm not naive enough to be dancing around going, hey, get your first $1,000 commission, right? What I'm talking about is a ABCD, simple process that people can get a result. Because once they get a result, that's the catalyst for them to start believing in themselves, to start believing in a process that they've chosen, the validation that it works. And once you've got that validation, whoosh, you can take it somewhere, right? Because again, in here, it's important, right? The more and more frustration that occurs in an individual where they're not achieving what they want to achieve, the harder it becomes. And I've seen it so many times, believe me. I've had employees who have come into my office and said, I can't do this. I've given them a project, right, that pushes them a little bit each time. I can't do this. Why? Can't do it. Yeah, but why? I don't know. Then why can't you do it? That's what's missing. That's what's missing. Now, again, I get that, most courses, and mine will be the same. It's not like a one-on-one mentoring, right? It's not, one-on-one is obviously more powerful because you can have that FaceTime, that communication, real time, live, okay, two-way, to solve all these things that are in the head. Definitely the way to go, but most people can't afford it, right? To have someone one-on-one, you're paying for their time. You're trading knowledge for their time. And the more experienced they are, like, you try and get a one-on-one with Russell Brunson. You try and get a one-on-one with Tony Robbins. It's not going to happen. Well, I would say not, okay? But you're going to be waiting A long time, and B, you're going to be paying a shitload of money. Why? Because they have that authority. Now, I spoke in one of my lives a few weeks ago about authority. I'm not saying that you cannot do anything without authority. There's ways to build your authority. You can still do something, but it's levels, right? So it's really, really important for someone in that space of not having achieved anything, struggling, at level 0, right? To get that validation. So this is why I've done the course, and I just wanted to give some context as to why I'm doing it. There may be some that don't like the fact that this is going to be for free. There may be some that don't care. There may be some to say, well, who are you to do a course? I haven't seen you earn anything. I haven't seen you do any affiliate offers. Why are you going to be teaching a course? I don't care. Right, because that kind of mindset, I don't really care, because there's something broken with those people anyway, and they're not my ideal customer. So I don't care. Okay, you're welcome to those thoughts. I am very clear about what I've achieved in my life, and I'm very clear on my purpose. I have 100% clarity. 100% clarity. Okay? And if anyone doesn't like what I say, or they don't believe in what I do or what I can do, that's absolutely fine with me. I don't care. I really don't care. 100% don't care. What I do care about is helping people that want to be helped, and if I can just help one person, as I say, by doing a free course that helps them go from zero to hero for themselves, right? Believing that they are a hero, then my job is done. But I bet your bottom dollar there's going to be more than one person. And I want to do it for free because I want those individuals that are at the beginning to have an ABCD, very simple, straightforward, so that they can get that recognition for themselves early. Now, I work with someone, I haven't taken a dollar from them, who's been in this space for 3 years. 3 years. We're still here, not prepared to give up, which is awesome. You know who you are. But they hadn't earned a bean for 3 years. I wouldn't even say that I've worked with this individual. Okay, I wouldn't make that claim. I'm not going to make that claim. I've not taken a dollar from this individual, and I don't claim him to be a success story of me, but I'm going to share with you what I did. We had a bit of back and forth in DMs, and I asked him to take action on a very, very low ticket item, very low. And we had a few more exchanges, and that guy had got not only one sale, but 2 sales in one day. Yep. 2 sales, one day. Now, subsequently, I don't promote that offer at all because we had some issues with it, and I felt terrible. Like, this particular guy's got his money back from the commissions that he's made, so there's no loss. But I think the most important thing is that this individual got the validation. They got that validation that after 3 years, I can do it. This is the most important thing. So this is why I'm going to be doing this course. Validation. Only one reason, validation. Okay? So, hey, look, I'm not a Russell Brunson. I'm not a Frank Kern. Don't claim to be any of those individuals. But if I can help more people, like who I've just talked about, go from zero to hero, then that's why I'm doing this free course. I just wanted to put some context around it. It wasn't something that I kind of thought about even as I formed this group. Not at all. It only came to my mind probably in the last 3 to 4 days, where I've had some interaction with a few other people in this industry. Most of them won't be known to you. They're people that are stateside, and I've had some interactions. I've been on some interesting Zoom calls with them for most of this week, actually, and I decided that, hey, this is what's missing. This is what's missing, and this is what I need to do. And I'm not looking to make money from it. And I'm very clear on that. Very, very clear. Okay. So why are you doing it? That's going to be some people's question. Well, I've just told you. I've told you in this live, and this is why I wanted to be on the live, to explain and put some context behind it. If I can help just one person go from zero to hero, then I creating the whole thing would be worth it. Creating the whole thing would be worth it. So I'm going to be, when it is complete, I'm going to be allowing all members of this group to have access to it. I've created a separate guide. The course is going to be marketed separately. It's going to be obviously targeted to the dream customer. And look, you know, not all of you in this group probably hardly any of you, I don't think, are in that space. There may be a handful that are in that space. But look, you don't need to be worried about being called out or any of that. Okay? All I'm saying to you is that if you do think that you're in that space, that course is available to you, and it's available to all members for free. And I'm going to be promoting it separately to that target audience of people that are looking for that validation in the coming weeks. I haven't set a specific date, but I have actually a challenge that I'm actively working on at the moment in my area of expertise, construction. I'm putting together a 7-day challenge for a very specific sub niche of people in the construction industry, and I just finished the landing page for that yesterday, and have everything all up and running. Still have the website to configure. The domain has been all sorted, and hosting and all of that has been resolved as of yesterday. So I'm actively working on that 7-day challenge, because that's going to be, 7 days of lives from the 4th of June. So I'm not too sure whether this course will be before or after that, but I'm very, very clear that this is what I'm going to do. And if anyone has any specific questions, then hit me up in the DMs. You don't need to do it in this group, particularly if you don't want other people to see what those questions are. I understand. It may be that you disagree with me, and that you don't think I should do this. You might want to reach out and have a chat. Yeah, I'm not going to ignore you. I don't ignore anyone. That's fine. But I'm thinking more. If you've positioned yourself as, hey, I really like the sound of this because I think I'm in that space, and you want to know more, or even give me some tips on what your particular pains are, so that I can include them in the course. The more I cover the pain points of these individuals, the better. The more that it's going to be able to help people, right? So I would welcome that contribution. Actually, I've got it. I made a good mind map of everything yesterday of what I want to include, but I'm always seeking thoughts of people that believe that they're in that space, because that's who I want this course to be for. So it's important that we get it squared off and covered. So I'm going to wrap up this second live. I just wanted to do this one. This wasn't scheduled, but look, hey, that's the whole purpose of lives, right? You can just go live. And I thought I just needed to put some context, rather than just post and say, oh, it's a new course, and you're wondering what's all this about. What's the plum up to now? I wanted to put some context and just explain my reasoning and why. And I'd like your support for it. Anyone who's in this group that would want to contribute to it, you're more than welcome, because I think this is a really, really important thing to do for people. To help people transition their pain to pleasure. Really, really important, particularly, as I've said, in this post-COVID situation. But more so because there's just so much noise out there, and I wanted to have some people on board that can feel that they have a sense of purpose going forward. And that's the end of my life. I just wanted to share that. I needed to get it off of my chest, and just give you some context around it, and hopefully you'll be supportive of it, because if you're like me, you'll see that it is for a very pacific purpose, and that pacific purpose is to help people, which is really, really important, I think. It's just my view. But I know that there's a lot of you out there that are in that same boat. You do genuinely care. It's not about the money, it's about caring and helping people. So good on you for all of you. And I believe me, I know who you are. I followed a lot of you and your journeys, and likewise you have with me. Um, and I know that there's a lot of people that are doing good things. I equally know that there's a lot of people that are doing not so good things, but I'm I'm not in the business here in this group, as I've said in my I think previously. I'm not here in this group to call people out. They should be comfortable with themselves and what they do, knowing what they're doing, and that's all I'll say on that matter. But for me, I want it to be about helping people, and I know that there are others that I'm following and supporting because they're doing good things for people as well. So with that all said, I'm going to wrap up, and you have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and I'll catch you on the next live.